Going into the jungle to get my wallet that I left on the beach about a mile away. Oh yeah, I'm in Puerto Rico. Oh dude, that looks like a Brazilian pink bird eater. Awesome. Look at this. Oh, it's big. I can see it because its eyes were glowing. I don't know where I am, but I'm getting there. Wait. What? Crap. How did I get off the trail? Okay, back on the trail. Feel better now. Yay, I made it. Now let's see if my pants are there.
Ah, yes, without even realizing it, Robert Douche had wandered around pantsless in the jungle.
Okay, no, this was where we moved to. This was where my pants were. Look what I found. Yay! Ah, what a relief. Got my wallet, I can feel it. Okay, going back.
You may be wondering why I'm running through the jungles of Puerto Rico pantsless in the dark. Well, several months ago, my family and I went on vacation to California. But the reason we came to Puerto Rico was so I could check out the beautiful beaches, the lush rainforests, iguana, and so I could harvest a piece of bamboo. While driving, I happened to see some on the side of the road, so we pulled over.
See if we can get a piece. Oh man, these are big too. Whoa, wow. It's really steep. I don't want to fall. Ah! Okay, I think we're good. Whoa, sheesh. Maybe this was a bad idea. Like, look at the size of this stuff. Like, that piece over there is like probably a good 4 inches, 5 inches across.
That's quite big.
I got the okay from the locals. They said that this stuff grows everywhere and just pull over and grab a chunk. So I guess I'm gonna just take a piece of this live stuff. So we're gonna cut it down using my little saw and take it home with us if I can get up there. Oh! Well, I almost fell. Well, I did fall. Okay, now we just gotta walk out of here and get back to the car. Got it! Almost died. But that's okay. All for art. Let's go back.
After getting home and allowing the bamboo to dry for a couple months, now I look like this. I'm sorry. Anyways, we have our bamboozle, and I actually have a couple smaller pieces here because I had to cut it down in order to fit it in my luggage so that I could smuggle it over. So, I was recently inspired by an amazing Japanese artist named Noriyuki Saito, who uses bamboo and bamboo accessories in order to make incredibly detailed and beautiful little sculptures of insects. It is incredible. I will put a link in the description to his work, and you can go check it out. So anyways, he inspired me to give it a shot and see what I could come up with. And what I came up with is this. Wow, woo, woo, wow, wow, wait. I decided to change the design. I know, I was just looking at it, I was like, you want your eyes to settle naturally upon one place, and it just was competing. So I decided to do this. I think it's better. This is now the focal point, obviously, and then flowy, flowy. So the real question now is, how am I going to make this? Using this stuff. This is the first time I've ever worked with bamboo, so we're gonna find out together. So the first thing I think we need to do is we need to make the sculpture out of bamboo. Basically, we need to start taking this solid tube and cutting it into smaller pieces that we can then carve into the pieces that will then turn into the sculpture. I think you know what I'm talking about. Well, if you do, let me know, because I don't. Like this sticky area right here, and then the leaves are gonna need to be some flat pieces, and I have an idea on how I'm gonna get some flat pieces. Thankfully, bamboo has a unique quality. There's like these long fibers or grain that goes up and down perfectly straight, and you can just split chunks off, and it will split off nice and even all the way down. I'm gonna cut this thing off, and let's do that. Man, I suck at this. What is wrong with this bamboo? You know what? That's not working either. There. I think we're making some progress. Wow. What the f? Okay, now that that's done. Wow,
That worked pretty good. See what I'm saying? How I did, use a knife to chop at it, but it didn't veer. It went perfectly. It almost looks like a knife cut it. That is a good sign. So here's another chunk we can use for something, maybe even a sculpture. Let's go ahead and whack this off. You check that out. Let's make another.
Okay, we finally have our bambooby broken down into an assortment of pieces. And since we're going to be doing a lot of wood bending in this project, let's go over the basics of how that's done. First, get it hot, either with steam or boiling water. Wrap it around something or put it in a form until it cools and dries. Then when removed, it will keep its shape permanently. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to walk over to the sander and put on a puppet show. What did you think I was going to do? We're going to sand everything smooth. Like that. Now I will make my first attempt at bending the main stem using the information we just learned. Well, that didn't work. Well, it kinda sorta worked, but mostly not. I'm guessing what I did wrong was I made this tapered, which allowed the edges of the grain to peel off as I was bending it. I also think I need to let it soak in the boiling water longer. Also, I think I'm gonna try putting these nails closer together and maybe using beefier nails, because these kinda got bendy, and that's one of the fun things about making art, is the failures you make along the way. Yay! All right, let's do it again. Well, that didn't work either, dang it. I think I'm gonna have to take a different approach to this. So, I'll let you know what I figure out. Yes, Bobby. Let us do it again, only this time with less bambooby boo-boos. For this attempt, I started by cutting out a pattern that I transferred to a piece of wood, which I then cut out on my scroll saw, leaving a gap for the thickness of the piece I'll be bending. After securing the center portion to the table and watching a few YouTube videos on the correct way to bend wood, I learned that adding ammonia to the water will act as a surfactant, allowing the water to penetrate deeper, making the bending process much easier. Be sure to do this outside, as ammonia, though gloriously smelling of pee, shockingly is not good to breathe in. After about 20 minutes of boiling in the solution, I carefully clamped the piece around the form. Once dry, pooped it out of the form, and now finally, I successfully bent one piece. Hooray! Now we just gotta figure out how to make the leaves. And I think those are gonna be a little more complicated, mainly because, well, they're not just a stick. What I'm talking about is like right here. That's a complicated shape. So I have an idea on how I can make a form for the leaves. So we're gonna try to make it work with a form like this. That's something we can show you how to do in just a second back. In my mind head, this made sense at the time, but now looking back on it, it was a rather smooth brain activity. Which is why one of the reasons it's good to keep learning is so we can add a few extra wrinkles to our squishy, pulsating thinky thing. Anyways, the idea behind what I'm currently doing was to carve a negative of the leaf shape into one half of a baked chunk of polymer clay. Then after smooshing clay into the other half and baking, it would act as a two-part form that I could put a softened strip of bamboo between, smooshing the two halves together, hopefully creating the leaf. But in reality, it just turned into Dukey, and there was much rejoicing. Hooray! This also didn't work. Excellent. Because I love learning. That's what this is a whole bunch of learning. For this attempt, I decided to thicken up the original form I made for the stem to see if it would also work for the leaves. As you can see, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Then, as before, I added some ammonia to the water, but this time I'm using the pressure cooker, as I hear that can soften the wood faster and more thoroughly than just boiling. I then plopped in a piece that was much too thick, then attempted to close the lid. After an amount of time for which has been forgotten, I vented the steam, and as you probably guessed, I was not able to bend it because of its excessive girth. Next, I did what I should have done in the first place, which was to soften several thin strips.
Shut up. Clamp them in the form until cool and dry. Then after making another form, which will be the final shape, I put glue on all the layers, clamp them in, and I went ahead and made the other leaf as well using the same method. Now, we just have to wait until the next day. It is the next day.
Come and have a sit down with me so I can tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp.
So guys, I've been struggling, and it's kind of weird too because I've been doing all kinds of things to help improve myself. Like I got on new medication, I haven't been drinking, I've been exercising, but I'm still struggling with issues like depression and lack of motivation. So thank goodness there are resources like BetterHelp that I can use to tackle those issues even though I don't really understand why I'm having them. And they are so easy to use. You literally just download the app, or you can go on desktop and you fill out a brief questionnaire, and in as little as 48 hours you'd be matched with a therapist. And for me actually it was a lot sooner than that. Also, the first therapist I was matched with just really wasn't a good fit for me, so I just switched to a new one. And by the way, the new therapist I have is literally the best therapist I've ever had. Besides the ability to switch therapists if you need to, BetterHelp is ridiculously convenient. I can literally whip out my phone and have a full-blown therapy session sitting in my bedroom, or really anywhere I have my phone. And then when I'm done, I can walk into the next room and start procrastinating again. But seriously, apps like BetterHelp didn't exist when I was younger, and I so wish they had, because I think that if I'd gotten ahead of all these things when I was younger, I wouldn't be struggling so much as an adult. But they do exist now. So if you are struggling and you think that you'd benefit from therapy like I do, please click the link in the description, or you can go to betterhelp.com/BobbyDuke and get 10% off your first month. Also, I literally could not make videos like this without amazing sponsors like BetterHelp. So thank you, BetterHelp. And not just for sponsoring the video, but for giving me a resource that is truly helping me. Good gosh, I have a huge forehead. Look at that thing. Bending wood is harder than I thought it would be. So, we need to carve these. And the way we're gonna do that is by carving them. But also I wanted to give a little explanation. The reason I made them this thick and this wide is because I wanted the leaf to have a little bit of flowy motion this direction. And the reason it's so thick is if you look at a leaf, it's not just a flat plane, it has like a V shape where we have to carve in, and then the opposite of that on the other side. So let's see what happens. Now that we've got most of that done, we're going to take a look at its body. This is what a butterfly looks like without its wings. By the way, sorry my voice is a little crusty. Went to a sweet concert last night with my beloved. It was epic. Anyways, I know it looks kind of derpy. It almost looks like a weird ant bug. I don't know, they just look weird without their wings. They're not as cute and cuddly. So what I'm gonna do is cut out this portion, the body portion, and then I'm gonna put it on this piece of bamboozle I prepared earlier. Then we have this guy. After we carve the side profile, then we're gonna flip it and try and carve this profile. And once we get that shape, then we can start carving the little leggy poos, the antennae, and other things like that. As you've probably already guessed, we're going to be using our rotary carver amongst other things. I'll probably use a laser blade.
And I don't even know. Whatever I decide to use is what I'm going to use. So stop asking so many questions. Okay, the reason I'm cutting off thin sections is because after fitting and gluing them edge to edge, it will add a beautiful end grain effect to the ends of the wangs, which I know looks kind of weird now, but trust me. I'm Bob Dugarts. Once dry and after applying the pattern, I also glued up some sections with the grain running lengthwise for the flappy doohickey's main portion. After whacking off the bulk of the material, I proceeded to carefully remove everything that weren't the wang. This process was quite tedious, as I also had to perfectly match the two pieces so they would come together like they had always been.
All right. I don't. Stop. All right.
Thank you, Bobby. Very insightful. Idiot. Now that the two halves have been joined, I think you can now tell why I used the two different grain directions. To finish removing the rest of the white areas, I started by poking through the smallest holes with a tiny diamond burr used for dentistry. Then I used a tabletop rig I created for my rotary carver, which gives me the ability to push the piece into the bit while laying flat versus holding everything. This gives me much more control and accuracy. Now that all the non-wing areas have been removed, I proceeded to sand them very thin, rounded over the edges, and glued together. And just like that, they're done.
Now we have all the pieces done.
Oh, we have the wangs,
Antennae, chrysalis, stick, the leaves, body, segments. Now we just need to put them all together into one homogeneous, juicy, and delicious sculpture. So...
Hey guys, ich habe den Schmetterling fertiggestellt.
But wait! Before you go, click the link in the description to my new merch store. And if you want to look really cool, while looking cool, while supporting me directly, then buy something. We've got hoodies, and shirts, and nothing else. And hats. I mean, look at that adorable child.